always something to make you look around and say, hey, you know what? I live in a pretty great country. President Trump is calm, on point, on his game. And unlike the last guy, he is competent and coherent.
Come on, man.
We're not bending the knee anymore. We're here to take a stand for God and country.
This is the Steve Gruber Show.
Well, it sure is. We're kicking off another brand new broadcast day here on the Steve Gruber Show, fighting for you from the foxhole of freedom, of course, making me wonder, who do you want in your foxhole? When things get tight, who do you want there next to you? Make sure it's somebody that knows what they're doing, all right? We're burning daylight. Let's get to it. Three big things this hour. Number one, the Super Bowl has picked its halftime performer, a guy who canceled his American concert tour, said he would never do a concert in America again, blamed ICE for his actions. Yet, some guy named Bad Bunny refused to perform, but the NFL, they're good with it. Number two, in a bit of good news for the economy, new housing sales have soared to their highest level in years, jumping 20%. That is good news. And number three, let me start here by being crystal clear for anyone listening or watching. Violence aimed at people because you don't like what they say or you don't like how they pray unless they are openly attacking you is not okay. I condemn that violence here and now. I condemn it. We have to be clear about this as conservatives. I make my comments clear after the tragedy in Michigan over the weekend. As we discussed yesterday, 4 people were killed, plus the shooter, in Grand Blanc Township, Michigan, not even an hour from where I live. That comes after a maniac opened fire on a Church of Latter-day Saints, Mormons, and then set the building on fire after ramming his truck into the side of that building. Here's the Grand Blanc police chief after the incident. Listen.
Evil. This was an evil act of violence. That's exactly what this was. And this is not Grand Blanc. This does not define Grand Blanc and who we are. We are a community, and I am confident that together we're going to build a stronger community due to this incident. Now, an update. This left 5 people dead, 8 people injured. As I said, this is an evil act and does not define Grand Blanc or who we are. At this time, what we know is everyone has been accounted for. We still are in the process of clearing out that church, but at this time, everyone is accounted for.
Evil. Evil, exactly the right word for the moment. I mean, what else covers this? A guy rams his truck into the church, opens fire, turns it into a ball of flames. Here's the church engulfed in flames. 2 of those victims died from the fire. 2 others shot and killed. Many others were injured, struggling to recover today. It's the latest targeted assault on a church in America, the latest savage disregard for human life. Churches are often called sanctuaries. It's what they're supposed to be, places where we can rest, worship, find peace, worship our God. Unfortunately for my neighbors in Grand Blanc, church was the opposite of that over the weekend. The opposite. The investigation is still ongoing, but the shooter who was shot down by police has been identified as Thomas Jacob Sanford, a 40-year-old Iraqi veteran. His actions being investigated, we're told, by the FBI and the feds as a targeted act of violence against the LDS Church. Here's Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt with more.
From what I understand, based on my conversations with the FBI director, all they know right now is this was an individual who hated people of the Mormon faith. And they are trying to understand more about this, how premeditated it was, how much planning went into it, whether he left a note. All of those questions have yet to be answered, but certainly will be answered by the FBI.
Yeah, obviously ramming your truck, which was full of IEDs, by the way, into a church, opening fire and lighting the church on fire sure adds up to the hatred towards a specific church, and just the latest in such a string of these atrocities. It's dreadful. The Detroit Free Press says that city council candidate Chris Johns spoke with the shooter just days before the tragedy. And Sanford, the shooter, went on an anti-Mormon tirade. Johns just canvassing in the area looking to find some new voters and met Sanford outside his house where he engaged Johns in what he described as a friendly conversation. But Sanford was apparently very forthcoming because he told Johns about his stint in Iraq, his problems with drug abuse in the aftermath of his service, his relationship with a Mormon woman in Utah afterwards. Sanford then mentioned that the Mormon woman tried to make him remove all of his tattoos and then Sanford turned dark. Told Johns that he believed the Mormon church was the Antichrist. Sounds like quite the motive to me. We'll let the professionals conduct their investigation, but so far that's what it's indicating. Seems like we've got a perfect storm of factors here. Marine vet, served in Operation Iraqi Freedom. Could be suffering from some sort of PTSD or other mental health issue. And let me make a note here. There was another mass shooting over the weekend when a different Marine veteran opened fire at a crowd in Southport, North Carolina. 3 people killed there. If you ever needed another reason to hate war, there's one. Even the soldiers who make it back can often come back with a kind of baggage that costs the lives of, well, even more Americans. Sanford also admitted to drug use, something that never leads to good outcomes, which is why politicians should crack down on drug abuse, not enable it, not support it. And then there's his personal bone to pick with the LDS, something we might find out more about in the next few days, but it could go all the way back to that relationship he had with a woman in Utah who apparently wanted him to get rid of his tattoos. But we're seeing those on the left focus on just one thing or two. He's white, and he may have been a Trump supporter. That's all they care about. That's it. In Michigan, you don't register by party, so nothing's for certain, but one Facebook post out there has him in a Trump shirt back in 2020, I believe, before the election. So let me be clear. Trump supporter or not, Sanford turned out to be an evil man who represented the worst in our society. Those who prey on the innocent and the vulnerable, and I condemn it unequivocally. When he rammed his truck into the side of the church, he was no Trump supporter. He was no conservative. He was no MAGA movement type. Just an old-fashioned, depraved killer. Period. That's who he is. That's how he'll be remembered. But guess what? This is not an example of right-wing violence. You've never heard me get up here and call Mormons the Antichrist, of course. It's not something Trump has parroted from the podium for years on end. Stephen Miller isn't instructing conservatives to go to war with the LDS Church. Being a Trump supporter, if he was, is not what motivated him to go out on this rampage. It's not. And I don't remember Trump calling them Nazis and fascists either. But somehow the public wants us to lump in Sanford with the individuals who killed Charlie Kirk or shot up school children in a Catholic church not long ago in Minneapolis. They want them all to be the same. It's both sides, you see. In fact, here's a CNN analyst doing exactly that. Listen.
It may seem obvious that we would know what the motive is, right? And that's where we're being careful, because it would seem obvious that they're going after people of this church, of this faith. But the FBI is not willing to make that link because they haven't seen anything online, anything he said to the family. We may get that later. So that's the distinction. What's really important is whatever, if they do find that motive, it was not made to the public. It didn't seem to be part of his persona. And in this way, it's very similar to what we're seeing recently. Very, very quick radicalization leading to violence, not tied to any known movement or group. And that's the scary part of where we live right now.
Yeah. It is evil. I'm going to stay with that. An evil act for which there is no justification, for which real Americans condemn and stand up and say, we don't accept this. We'll have more after the break on the Steve Gruber Show.
New laws, new
All right, back to it now. These are important conversations to have. Important conversation because Charlie Kirk's killer and the Catholic Church shooter and dozens of other left-wing radicals were connected by something. Left-wing talking points. Calling anyone who was on the right or voted for President Trump Nazis, fascists, and of course white supremacists. And they were also, these shooters, these killers, supporting the transgender agenda. There is a connection there. There's a thread there, you see. The guy attacking LDS, he's a white guy. Okay. They just want to forget all this other stuff, but we won't. We will not. Absolutely will not. I'm not Mormon, and I'm not Catholic, but I grieve for those who lost their lives just because they were. I condemn the violence against them. They were Americans, all right? What happened to them is inexcusable. I do that because it's the only decent thing to do, you see. And yet we've seen thousands on the left celebrate the death of Charlie Kirk. They still are. Because he had a different opinion. They smear him. Same names, Nazi, fascist, white supremacist, same thing. There are bumper stickers out here now reading, "Make assassinations great again." Not a joke. People are putting "Make assassinations great again" on their cars. I mean, what's wrong with you? If you voluntarily put that message on your car, how morally bankrupt can you get? Well, sleazy, slimy Swalwell goes further than the CNN contributors and tries to imply that Donald Trump is the cause of all violence because he claims Trump is holding James Comey accountable. This is really a masterclass in strange spin. Listen.
Americans, we're seeing an escalation of mass shootings again. Obviously, we had the Kirk assassination and a political assassination on an ICE facility last week, shootings over the weekend in North Carolina and Michigan. And so if law enforcement is pulled off the case to work on the president's political opponents, what does that mean for the rest of us? That's what concerns me. And then,
wow. Give it a break, will you? Swalwell's just scared he's next on the chopping block for his crimes against the American people. And remember, Comey was indicted by a grand jury of his peers in deep blue Northern Virginia. I mean, there is that. Donald Trump didn't vote on the grand jury, as I understand it. And then there's the obvious, the low-hanging fruit, the attack on gun rights for Americans everywhere, which is obviously predictable. This Michigan politician blames gun violence, not the violent man who pulled the trigger, of course. Listen.
What in the world can we do to stem this tide of gun violence?
Well, first of all, my heart goes out to the families affected in the Mormon community in Grand Blanc and across the country. I was in Grand Blanc just 3 days ago, and this is a peaceable community. To see it torn apart like that is awful. I'm also a physician and epidemiologist, and I know that when you have the scourge of a thing that harms people, you have a responsibility to start asking, how do you actually solve that? And you look at all of the string of violence that we've seen, they tend to have something in common. And I think we have a responsibility as a country to stand together, to stand up for our children, for our elders, for folks just going to church on a Sunday, to say that enough is enough. We need to have a conversation about gun violence, right? The Second Amendment doesn't mean any gun for anyone, anywhere, anytime. It means that we understand that there was a space for this, but not this. Not that people walk into their church on a Sunday and get gunned down. And so we need to have that conversation. We need to have it urgently.
Yeah, let's have that conversation. You'll find that if anyone in that church could have stopped the gunman with their own gun before police got there, we might be telling a different story, or not telling it at all because the media never covers those stories. When was the last time you heard him talk about places like Sugar Land, Texas, for example? It was just this summer in June when another deranged gunman opened fire on a church here in Michigan, but was stopped from killing anyone, because one of the armed men in the church shot him dead on the spot. Remember that story? Retired law enforcement laid him out right there in the church, prevented what could have been a mass shooting. Bam. Friends, I don't like where I'm seeing this country headed. I don't. Where you can be killed in cold blood for your political beliefs or your religious beliefs. You tell me, how shocked would you be if tomorrow I told you right here that someone was gunned down in the street for wearing a red hat? Just some regular guy shot and killed wearing a red hat and nothing more. How shocked would you be if this political violence of calling people Nazis and fascists trickled down to that level? You've been warned. I actually think it's inevitable at this point. When people say making assassinations great again on their cars, people have been dehumanized to the point of no return in the minds of some of these people. Yeah, I don't think that's a tragedy too far in our future. It's why you should stay armed. Whenever and wherever you can. If you can get a legal carry license, get one. I'm not going to give up my right to defend myself in a dangerous world, and sadly, that's exactly where we're living today. You may not be a Mormon, but I like how my friend Jack Posobiec says it. Listen to this.
That this is demonic. And, you know, as Christians, look, guys, you know, I'm more than happy to have the, you know, the various debates and gosh, we've had them on the show so many times. It's like we've got Catholics, we've got Mormons, we've got evangelicals, but at the end of the, we've had them with Charlie so many times, but at the end of the day, when we're all under attack, we're all under attack. And that's what it comes down to. This is demonic influence. There's no question about that. Demons are writhing in pain when people gather together to worship Christ Jesus. That's the end of it. And it almost feels like when the switch is flipped, that you're going to see, unfortunately, more and more of this.
Stand up against evil. Speak up for truth. Keep yourself armed. Again, you have been warned. A lot of choices when it comes to who you choose for your cell phone service. I realize there are some new ones popping up all the time, but here's the truth. There's only one that boldly stands in the gap for every American that believes that freedom is worth fighting for, and that, my friends, is Patriot Mobile. More than a dozen years now, Patriot Mobile has been on the front lines fighting for our God-given rights and freedoms while also providing exceptional nationwide cell phone service with access to all three of the main networks. Don't just take my word for it. Ask the hundreds of thousands of Americans who've made the switch are now supporting causes they believe in. Patriot Mobile, Christian, conservative, wireless network. And if you go to patriotmobile.com/Gruber, you're going to get your first month for free. It's easy to switch. Support the people that support this program and support you. patriotmobile.com/Gruber. Use the promo code Gruber. First month free. What are you waiting for? I'll be right back. All right, so we've got we pulled this video up because this guy's making his rounds now. The guy that ran into Thomas Jacob Sanford, this evil individual that blew up and burned down the Mormon church in Michigan. Here's the guy that talked to him a few days before this atrocious act. Here it is, because I want you to hear it. Yeah, I'm not hearing it. Anthony's working on it. We'll get that to you, because I do want to hear that guy and what he has to say. It's important because, you know, here's the thing. How many of these shooters, right? How many of these attacks do we go back and say, oh, you know, it was all over social media? You know, he told people. Now, I don't know if I don't know if I would have gone out if I had been this guy who was out. He's out campaigning. City council member running for re-election. He's out campaigning. He's canvassing. He runs into this guy. I don't know if I was in the same position, if I would be going down to the police department and say, hey, you know, this guy hates Mormons. And unless he made a direct threat, what would you do?
I have it if you want to play it.
Yeah, let's go ahead. Roll it.
I'm in the process of just doing door knocking, doing canvassing. And so his address was a new one that I had not done during the primary. But somebody in the House voted then, and now I was just getting ready for the general. So for me, it was just one more house. It was the first time I've been to that house on Atherton Road. You know, from the very beginning, I mean, he was very friendly and outgoing, very jovial. You could tell it was a very animated person. After a couple of very pointed questions, the questions got very deep. We talked about religion, we talked about the Church of Latter-day Saints, and he was asking questions I did not have the appropriate answers to. And so I know of the church, I know the basic history, the basic tenets, but the questions he was asking me were doctrinal, were very deep, and they were very specific.
What was his impression of LDS?
Extremely negative. He didn't really get into why. I mean, I just gathered that he had, like, from what he told me, he had moved to Utah, which, again, is overwhelmingly Mormon, and he just, one way or the other, had an extremely negative interaction with the church, and whether it be through a person.
Yeah. He hated the Mormons. Nothing to do with who he voted for president. He hated the Mormons. All right. You're up to speed. We'll take a break and be right back. All right, back to it now. Look, a lot going on right now. My next guest is Brandon Weichert. He's written several best-selling books, including A Disaster of Our Own Making, How the West Lost Ukraine. A lot of conversations about this because the president talking about giving Tomahawk missiles, long-range strike approval. I think it's a dangerous place for us to be. I am not a supporter of us being in Ukraine, but that's why we bring on different voices. Brandon, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me. It's good to be here as always.
I appreciate it. All right, so we lost, the West lost Ukraine, you say, but in fairness, the people in Crimea, for the most part, consider themselves Russian. For the people in Donbass, consider themselves to be Russian. So when you say lost Ukraine, be specific.
Yeah. Well, what I mean is that for 30 years since the end of the Cold War, NATO basically picked a fight with Russia over Ukraine. We had an agreement in 1994, the Bucharest Memoranda, which basically both the post-Soviet Russia under Boris Yeltsin and of the United States and Europe agreed that Ukraine would be a sovereign country. Its borders would be what we knew them as before 2014, so long, and this was the Russian caveat from the beginning, so long as there was never any chance of Ukraine joining NATO or becoming a base for NATO troops and, more importantly, missiles that could reach Russia. The United States violated that agreement. For many years, we violated that agreement because in our minds, the Russians didn't matter anymore because they lost the Cold War and there was a
We violated all agreements, Brandon. We agreed.
Every agreement.
We agreed at the end of the Cold War, when the Warsaw Pact countries broke up, that we would not have NATO march east.
Absolutely.
And that is all we have done since, is taken NATO and marched east all the way to the 100%. Soviet border with Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia. They're all on the Soviet border. Well, the Russian border, 100%. Excuse me. Right? So we continue to kick dirt in their face. Now, here's my concern today. Sending Tomahawk missiles and the authorization for deep strikes. Do we want war with Russia? Because if we play this out, we're going to get it.
Well, the NATO, in my opinion, has been waging war on post-Soviet Russia since basically 1994, at least. This was something that even Boris Yeltsin, who was the most pro-American Russian leader probably ever, he went to the NATO Security Conference of that year, and he called it out. He said, if the Americans keep doing what they're doing, we'll go from having a Cold War to a cold peace. And he said that it basically the war would continue that we had just ended, and the chance to bring Russia into the fold would end as well. And he was right, 100%. It took 30 years to get here, but he was right. And ultimately, I think it's very important to understand when it comes to the Tomahawks, President Trump, I still think, is not very serious about these promises. The last time he did a
then why say it?
I think that's a great question. I think that there's some internal debate going on. I think this might involve Susie Wiles and Marco Rubio. There's some internal debate going on where he's trying to appease different voices. But logistically, practically, the United States has a finite and dwindling number of Tomahawk cruise missiles. We do not have the capacity to take on, even through a proxy, all of these different responsibilities in Europe, in the Middle East, in now Venezuela, which my sources tell me 2 to 3 weeks from now there will be massive strikes conducted there, which will require the Tomahawk cruise missile. That is our primary standoff weapon.
When you say we're depleting them, we can't build them fast enough?
We can, but the development cycle, our industrial base is totally sclerotic. Even with all of the demand, it cannot keep up, and which is why, and I think Trump knows that, and I think ultimately Trump is throwing a bone to the Europeans rhetorically saying, yeah, we've got your back, we'll do this with you. But if you remember his Truth Social post where he announced it, I'm forgetting the exact language, but he basically said, good luck to Europe. It was as if he was saying, tag, you're it, Europe. It's going to be on you now.
Let me expand on that. Good luck to Europe. We've got 800 generals, admirals, flag officers coming into Washington, right? And Virginia right now. And there's discussion. In fact, I had heard this, and then I see it here that you would put it in too, that all of these command centers might be pulling back, that our focus is not going to be on defending Europe or Asia, but on defending ourselves. A new Monroe Doctrine is the way I read this morning, Brandon, and that's kind of the way I've been thinking about it. Is that your understanding? Is that a smart move?
Oh, first of all, that's what I'm hearing. And again, we'll have to see. Trump loves to throw curveballs at us at the last minute. So we'll see what happens. But that is what I have heard, which is why I wrote about it. And yes, I think it's a reinvigoration of the Monroe Doctrine. Remember when Trump first came into office the second time, one of the first things he said is we got to make Canada the 51st state. We've got to absorb Greenland. We've got to reclaim the Panama Canal Zone. That was not Trump just having a little fun at everybody else's expense. He was very serious, and there's a reason. The world economy is shifting from an east-west axis in terms of trade to a north-south. And the United States plays a significant role in the north-south trading axis, both in the two poles, as well as the Caribbean basin, and of course in South America with the Panama Canal Zone. So what Trump is doing, I think, is he's going to have Hegseth today announce to the generals that are assembled that we are essentially reorienting our military posture away from Eurasia, Africa, and the Middle East, and we will be reorienting it toward North and Southcom. That is the North and South American commands. There's also been floating around for several months with the Unified Command Policy, UCP, in the Pentagon. They've been talking about reorganizing the various command structures where you'll be merging European Command, EUCOM, with African Command, AFRICOM, and North Command with Southern Command to create these bigger commands. And there's also talk that the Trump administration very much wants to basically not necessarily pull back, because that will require also congressional assistance, but simply to reprioritize. That's the new national security strategy document. Politico got their hands on part of it 2 weeks ago and leaked it. It's written partly by Bridge Colby, who's the current Undersecretary of War for Policy. And it basically is a retrenchment strategy in this hemisphere. And that's why I think the president's comments about sending these missiles to Ukraine and, basically beating his chest at Russia, I think that's for show. I don't think that's realistic or practical. And if you look at what I'm hearing, you listen to what I'm hearing, it sounds like the real movement is going to be toward the Western Hemisphere and space defense, space-based missile defense in the Golden Dome.
All right, so what does that mean? And we've only got about 30 seconds here. That opens the door for China to have even more control and more sway over Korea, Vietnam, all of Asia if we pull out of there completely. Same thing in the Middle East. It's going to be everybody. It's just, well, I guess we'll see what happens. I'm getting a little ahead of myself here, Brandon, but it seems I'm going to have to know a lot more before I can make a decision real quick.
Ultimately, yeah, we'll see what happens, because there's a lot between pulling back and China taking over everything. That has to happen first.
Yeah. Brandon Weichert, National Security Editor, author of A Disaster of Our Own Making, How the West Lost Ukraine. Brandon, thank you for being here. We'll talk soon.
Thank you, sir.
There you have it. All right, good stuff. Tell me what you think. Go to stevegruber.com. Send me an email. What do you think about that? Do we send Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine to fire into Russia? Do we pull back for a new Monroe Doctrine? What are your thoughts on that? Weigh in. stevegruber.com. Send me a note. I'll take a break and be back to talk about No Lazy Money with Nick Hopwood. Your money up next. right, back to it now. It's time for No Easy Money. No lazy money, that is. No lazy money. Maybe lots of easy money. With Nick Hopwood. Nick is here with me. He's a certified financial planner, founder of Peak Wealth Management. Nick and his team of CFPs have helped hundreds of clients retire with peak confidence. Visit peakwm.com. And by the way, you can scan the QR code on your TV when it comes up today for a free Social Security analysis from Nick. Nick is with us now. Nick, nice to see you.
Hey, Steve, I do like no lazy money, but maybe we should change it to easy money. I like that.
Yeah, I like that. Easy money. Easy money. Nick Hopwood is here with us right now. And I make the comment about a free Social Security analysis. Look, right now it's been bumpy. The markets are up right now, but they were down here. Back in April, they were way down. Gold is on fire. Makes some people nervous, makes other people happy. Now is a great time. If you're retiring, or you're thinking about where Social Security is going to fit in, you can go through that and sort it out, because we've had this conversation. Do I take Social Security when I first can at 62? Do I wait till I'm 65? Do I do it when I'm 70? I mean, these are important questions, and it really depends on the situation, doesn't it?
It does. And the first thing I ask myself is, am I still working in terms of that Social Security question? Because if you're still working, you really have to wait. Unless you're over 67, you'd be penalized if you took Social Security while you're still working. The next thing is, how's my health? How's my longevity in my family? Right? If you tell me when you're going to die, I can tell you exactly when to take Social Security.
Yeah.
So that's really important. And then the third point are the tax opportunities. So if you are delaying Social Security, not only do you get more, and also do you protect your spouse for longevity, but you can do Roth conversions, you can do low rate IRA withdrawals. And then the last point I would make is that break-even age. So if you take it at 62 versus 65, the break-even age is about 77 and a half, or 62 versus 67, 78 and a half, or finally 62 versus age 70, that's 80 and a half. So it is a long time until you reach the break-even age.
It is, but in my family, like 3 of my 4 grandparents lived into their 90s. So, for me, I'm thinking, I got a pretty good chance, right? I mean,
yeah,
so if you don't
Ivy's
like me, too bad,
So, Steve, if you delay, that's great for your own benefit. But
Right.
also, Ivy's probably going to live to like 110.
Right.
So if you delay, you're protecting her.
There you go. There you go. Ivy probably will be 110. All right, so today is speaking of good things. Today is the last day of the quarter. S&P 500 up more than 10%, I understand. What does history tell us about this? I think you've got a chart to show us. Share this with me.
Yes, thank you, Anthony. So this chart is showing, and I know there's a lot of numbers here, but I'll just give you the lowdown overview here. So here we are at the last day of the quarter. The S&P is up 13% year to date.
Man,
so
that's good.
It's happened 30 times since 1950, when we're up double digits by the end of the third quarter. Now, October is a flip of a coin. It's 50-50 up or down, and the average is down slightly, and that's due to Black Monday, 1987. But the full fourth quarter on average is up 4 to 5% on average, and up over 80% of the time. So when we have a strong start of the year, the strong first 3 quarters, usually the fourth quarter follows suit.
Well, there you go. So that's good news. New highs in September. Great so far. I mean, in April, they're all telling us the doomsayers, the doom and gloom crowd, it's going to be the worst year ever, blah, blah, blah. They're on Liberation Day. Didn't turn out that way. Right? Earnings, in fact, continue to climb. You've got another chart I'd like to share with the folks here. Earnings continue to go up. So this whole thing about, it's going to be a terrible year, it's going to be the worst year since 1930. You remember all the stuff they were saying, Nick. You and I were a little nervous. I get that. But none of those things happened, did they?
They didn't. And people say, well, how could the market continue going up at this pace? 2023, 24, and now 25. Well, I'd say earnings are the key. And look at this chart of earnings over the last 13 years, right? They're growing solidly. Earnings over the trailing 12 months are plus 13%. Well, the market is up 19%. So we are stretching that. That's true. We're having multiple expansion. We're having, those animal spirits. And that's the part that just can't continue forever.
The animal spirit.
But the earnings growth is supporting these valuations to a certain degree. In addition, we're having really strong GDP growth, nearly 4%. So there's a lot of good news out there with, the earnings and GDP. Where we're a little soft, right, are the jobs numbers.
Yeah. I just saw another thing here, though. New home sales up 20%. Biggest rise in years. The numbers were released yesterday. To me, that's good news. Construction's up. Housing is up. By the way, the government shutdown. People talking about that today. You say don't let it impact your portfolio. Don't get nervous. Don't shoot yourself in the foot.
Yeah, Steve, just like you were saying a minute ago with the tariff tantrums back in April, if you sold out at the end of March or early April,
Oof.
you missed. You really sold down in the hole. You really shot yourself in the foot. The last 5 government shutdowns, and I know, Steve, you don't take these things seriously because it's just all talk. But I do receive calls from clients who get nervous, so it's worth addressing. The last 5 government shutdowns, the S&P has actually returned plus 3% 1 month later.
Well, there you go. So a lot of indicators then. October's 50-50, but overall we're looking at 5%. You get a bonus 3% on top of that. Well, heck, we could have a heck of a fourth quarter. I'm just being an optimist
here. I'm not sure if we
here.
stack those numbers, but we'll take it.
No lazy money, free money, Nick. Free money, Nick. Again, Social Security, all of these things weigh into this. If you're, within striking distance of Social Security, which, look, October is my birthday month. I'm getting closer by the minute. And it's a decision that Nick and I will sit and we'll talk about and what I do. So it's an important decision. So you can find out more, peakwm.com, or if you're at home, just click on that QR code that's on your screen if you're watching this. He'll give you a free analysis. When should you take it? 62, 65, 70? Don't just make decisions willy-nilly. Don't throw a dart in the dark. Talk to Nick Hopwood. No lazy money. That's what Nick says, including Social Security. Nick, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
PeakWM.com, again, that QR code. Go ahead, click on that. Free Social Security evaluation right now. All right? Right now. We'll take a break. We'll be back on the Steve Gruber Show. I don't know what the NFL was thinking, but apparently they have lost their minds. They've selected for the Super Bowl halftime show Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny's, Anthony can help me here a little bit. My understanding, he's a rapper. I might have heard a couple of his songs. He raps in Spanish. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. He also canceled his U.S. tour completely, said he would never perform in the United States again, and said he was too afraid that ICE agents would be at his concerts to arrest people, right? This is the guy who is anti-ICE, said he would never perform in America again, basically gave America the finger, and this is the guy the NFL has picked for their halftime show. Am I right so far?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's an anti-America guy who hates law enforcement. Like effing ICE could be outside my concert, and it's something that we're talking about and very concerned about. He described local ICE raids in Puerto Rico. Look at those MFers in those cars, RAV4s. They're here in Patazuela, he said in Spanish. All right, so I'm sorry. The National Football League has lost its mind as far as I'm concerned. Now, that's the bad news. Here's the good news. Ivy found this great new vitamin company, and they're new partners of ours. She went and did all this research, right, on Victory Nutrition International. And boy, I've been taking them, and I got to be honest, I like them. Protovite is one of the products. If you're tired of taking vitamins that don't seem to work, Protovite is a breakthrough liquid formula designed to absorb quickly, so your body actually uses it more efficiently, more effectively. When we say multivitamin, we mean it. 100 nutrients, vitamin B, amino acids, zinc, plant extracts, daily support for energy, focus, immune health, only from Victory Nutrition International. It's nutrition that gets in. And when Ivy says she's fired up over it, she is. Start your morning with Protovite. Protovite, feel the difference. And by the way, of course, you get a special discount for being a Gruber listener and a Gruber watcher. 20% off today. VNI, Victory Nutrition International.life/Gruber. Promo code's Gruber, VNI.life. It's great. It's a shot of feeling good is what it is. Ivy it's got all this research. We're going to tell you more about it in the days to come. Nutrition that gets in. All the research, all the studies that back it up. It is remarkable. All right? We'll be right back. It's the Steve Gruber Show. 2 more hours on the way. make you look around and say, hey, you know what? I live in a pretty great country. President Trump is calm, on point, on his game. And unlike the last guy, he is competent and coherent.
Come on, man.
We're not bending the knee anymore. We're here to take a stand for God and country.
This is the Steve Gruber Show.
Yes, it is. And I need to say welcome aboard. We're fighting for you for the foxhole of freedom every single day. Sitting here defending American values, American freedom. Who do you want in your foxhole? 3 big things you need to know this hour. Number 1. The soon-to-be mayor of New York City, communist Zoran Mamdani, says he will give millions of dollars to illegals to fight deportation under federal law. Millions. He's going to bankrupt that city in about 5 minutes. Number 2, could there be peace on the horizon for Gaza? Maybe. President Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu just put out a 20-point plan yesterday that might finally get peace. The Palestinians, they say it looks pretty good. We'll have to wait and see. And number 3, is the government shutting down for a few days? Well, probably. Will anyone remember in a few weeks? Probably not. But here they might. The word is 100,000 federal employees could be quitting today. As well, we are seeing all over. I guess that'll save a lot of time, paperwork, and money. 100,000 federal employees. One of the big hang-ups is the piles of cash and benefits for illegals. That's one of the reasons that the Republicans are saying no to the Democrats. Are trying to strong-arm all of this money. All this money for illegals. That's part of what's happening right now. J.D. Vance rips the Democrats for demanding benefits for illegals, by the way, at your expense, because it is at your expense. Listen to this.
We have to realize the Democrats, their whole argument is we are going to shut down the government unless you give $1 trillion for medical benefits for illegal aliens. The major health care reform that we've done in this administration is we've made it harder to give your hard-earned tax dollars to medical benefits for illegal aliens. The Democrats want to undo that. And they're saying that unless you give that money to those illegal aliens, unless you give those benefits to those illegal aliens, we are going to shut down the people's government. It's such a stark contrast between two parties' priorities. We want to put the government to work for the American people first. The Democrats want to shut down the government because we won't give free benefits to illegal aliens. It's such a good, again, contrast for what the Democrats stand for and what Republicans stand for. We're not going to be, look, we're not going to be taken hostage by the Democrats' desperate desire to give your tax money to illegal aliens. We're just not going to do it.
We're not going to do it. Absolutely not. And Democrats push to shut the government down, and Republican senators like Eric Schmidt are calling it out for what it is. Listen to this.
Their plan is to spend an additional $1 trillion to restore all the things that we rescinded, like Guatemalan sex changes and DEI in Burma. They want all that back, and they want health care for illegal immigrants. That's what they're fighting for. But again, they want to be perceived as the resistance more than a party that's willing to govern. And this is the time, I think, where we come together, fund the government, give us time to continue to work on appropriations bills. But the ball really is in their court. The Republicans are pretty unified here, and this is something, again, that Democrats have advocated for in the past.
All right, I'm pumping out a list here. I'm pumping out the list right here of all the things that might get shut down, right? Here's the list coming hot off the printer. I have a printer right here in case of breaking news, of course, to make sure you have the latest information. Who works, who doesn't, how much does it cost? Democrats demanding Obamacare subsidies extend out to illegals, right? And they're saying, well, unless we get all this, we're going to have a shutdown, which is weird because I took a walk down memory lane. I do that from time to time, and the internet never forgets, of course. Guess what I found? A bunch of Democrats saying you should never shut down the government. Wow, listen.
Stop holding this government and the American people hostage.
This is just no time to be playing around with people's lives.
What if I persuaded my caucus to say I'm going to shut the government down? I'm going to not pay our bills unless I get my way. It's a politics of idiocy, of confrontation, of paralysis.
Chuck Schumer said a few months ago that a government shutdown would be chaotic, harmful, and painful. He's right, and that's why we shouldn't do it.
There's only one person standing in the way of keeping the government open, and that is the minority leader. The Schumer shakedown, the Schumer strategy to lead to a Schumer shutdown.
They want to roll the dice, I guess, so that they want to gamble with the American economy and with people's lives by shutting down the government
The Democrats, on the other hand, want to give illegals health care. They want to shut down rural hospitals by getting rid of the rural hospital opportunity
You
fund.
get it.
They want to add one.
Democrats say no shutdown, and here we are. So there you are in memory lane. So since 1980, there have been 10 of these things. Since 2001, there have been 3. All of them are different. Programs like Medicare, Social Security, Medicaid will continue, along with the Postal Service, Veterans Affairs, hospitals and clinics, and immigration and border security activities, among others. Federal employees will likely go without pay, however, and a string of agencies will see their services hampered by furloughs like the IRS and Small Business Administration. Housing programs may also see a delay in rental assistance and loans. We'll see how long it lasts. Typically, shutdowns see thousands of federal workers deemed non-essentials furloughed, but the Office of Management and Budget released a memo last week that directed agencies to use this opportunity to consider reduction in force notices for all employees. You're all fired, all of you. Programs that have no other available funding source and that don't comport with Trump's priorities if lawmakers couldn't fund the government. Reduction in force notices will be in addition to any furlough notices provided due to a lapse in appropriation, the memo read. And they will be issued regardless of whether the employee is expected to be furloughed in the lapse of appropriations. Then there's the cost of a shutdown. The cost of a partial closure this year unknown. The Congressional Budget Office did an analysis of the cost the last time the government shut down, 2019, $18 billion. In federal spending was delayed, which led to a dip in that year's first quarter gross domestic product of $8 billion. The report noted roughly $3 billion of that would not be recovered. $3 billion in a government spending $7 trillion. Federal workers who received delayed payments in private businesses were hit the hardest. Some of those private sector entities will never recover the lost income. So what's going to happen? Well, I think the government's going to shut down. I think that John Thune and others have put together a plan, and Chuck Schumer's rejecting it. Democrats can either vote for a clean, short-term, nonpartisan continuing resolution that prioritizes the American people, or they can choose a completely avoidable shutdown that prioritizes politics above all else. You see, the Republicans are all voting against the shutdown. Democrats are voting for it. That's where we are. It's not really much of a debate. That's what's happening. This part of the program brought to you by the Wellness Company. The Wellness Company. Man, you want to keep healthy, you need to do that for yourself. We've all heard the studies, testosterone in young men drastically decreasing every decade. One major study in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism found a healthy 22-year-old man in 2000 had double the testosterone of a 22-year-old guy today. So if you're in your 30s, 40s, or 50s, you might want to listen up a little bit. Meet Mars from the Wellness Company, a doctor-formulated nutraceutical designed to restore vitality without synthetic hormones or stimulants. Mars helps men naturally increase testosterone, enhance circulation, and improve strength, focus, and sexual performance. Yes, sir. It's all available at twc.health/Gruber. Fight low testosterone. Get energy, get motivation, get fertility, get muscle mass. twc.health/Gruber. The promo code Gruber will save you money. Get ready to rock, boys. All right? There you go. I will take a break and be right back. All right, welcome back to the program. Glad to have you here as we dig deep into the topics that matter most to you every single day. It's what we do to make sure you're on top of everything. My next guest, Dr. Gerson Moreno-Riano, is president of Cornerstone University. The need to speak boldly and publicly about conservative values, he said, is no more important today than ever. You got to get up and you got to speak the truth. Doctor, thank you for being here.
Good morning, Steve. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. All right, so conservative values, the nuclear family, patriotism, America being, we're not just some experiment, we're the greatest country in the history of the world, and yet people that live here or that come here illegally would like to tear this place down. We cannot tolerate that any further, can we?
Well, no, and one of the most amazing things, I mean, I immigrated to this country 45 years ago from South America. My parents immigrated from Colombia, South America. We love this country deeply. We came here, and I will tell you that one of the most disheartening things for me is to see that the tearing down from inside our own country, quite frankly. It is people, citizens, others inside the U.S. who are, trying to destroy it, undermine it, critique it. And it's a terrible, terrible situation we're in now. I've seen it for decades now, not just in universities, but in K-12 education, where our children are taught, criticism of the country, no heroism, critique the holidays, critique our founding, and many are quiet. They're afraid to say anything. They don't know how to say it. So it's an important opportunity for us to be bold, courageous, thoughtful, discerning, and to speak up thoughtfully and boldly about the beauty of this place, what we need to do to preserve it, to strengthen it. And that's one of the things we're doing at Cornerstone University, providing a world-class education, but providing for our students the opportunity to really think deeply about these things, engage them boldly.
As an immigrant, clearly you came here and became part of this thing we call America. You didn't come here and look, I think it's great that people come here and they have pride in where they come from. You have Chinatown, you have all these different places in this country where, people with an ethnicity get together, they celebrate their heritage, but they become part of America. They assimilate, they become part of, they don't just wave flags from other countries and give Americans the finger, but that's what's been going on in recent years, Doctor. It's unsettling, isn't it?
It's very unsettling. Look, we came and we embraced it fully and entirely. I remember we came in 1980, and the first major event for us was the inauguration of Ronald Reagan on television. And I'll never forget my father pointing it out to me and saying, "What you're watching here is historic. Pay attention to it." And it was the inauguration of Ronald Reagan, and I grew up in that era, and an era where America, we were fighting against communism, the Soviet Union, the Iron Curtain, right, those days. And it's scary to see now that we have strong arguments being paid attention to for communism and socialism in our country. You have the mayoral race in New York City. You have other municipalities where all of a sudden communism and socialism is a viable option. And people are actually engaging it, and young people are paying attention to it. And I think this should alarm every single one of us, and it's an opportunity for us to engage, not to retreat into our caves, as it were, but to really think about what's so beautiful and exceptional about this country and its founding and its principles and its ideas, and how do we communicate those in a beautiful way, engaging way for the future. We have to do that. And it's, again, an opportunity for our educational institution, our homes, our neighborhoods to do that.
Right. It's time to set the record straight. And by the way, when it comes to free speech, look, I don't care that a communist or a socialist comes on campus and argues their point of view. To me, it's easily dismembered. I can eviscerate their argument pretty quickly and pretty effectively with historical fact and anecdotal evidence. So that's fine. But free speech is critical. You have to have a vigorous exchange of ideas. That should happen more on college campuses than anywhere. And yet in this country, people are being shut down. You have these crazy ideas of we'll have a graduation for black students and a graduation for white students. Just this insanity. Cornerstone University is saying no to all of that, I assume.
No, we're saying no. We've been saying no. We started something called Wisdom Conversations in 2022, and we have all kinds of people come to these conversations. I invite national speakers, and we talk vigorously about significant ideas, complex problems, and how do we solve those things. And we have, anywhere from 5 to 1,000 people in the community come to these things. The one we're doing just in a couple of days in the family, the importance of the family for our country and how to strengthen it and heal the family because it is under attack. Culturally,
and
socially,
look,
politically.
The family is the foundation of any civilization. Family is the smallest unit of community. It then goes to the village, then goes to the state, and then goes to the country. And so the family is the building, it's the building molecule of a successful nation. Where is Cornerstone University? Tell the folks.
Yeah, it's Grand Rapids, Michigan. Beautiful Grand Rapids, and the university is right on the Highway 96 there in Grand Rapids. And this Thursday at 6:30, we have wisdom conversations, the family, how to strengthen and heal it for our nation. And I'm thrilled that we have hundreds of students coming. For me, it's not just about the community, but our students are the future. And how do we share with them, the men and women who will be there, why the family is essential for this country, how to strengthen it, how do we protect it, how do we engender policies that advance it and protect it, not dismantle it. And it's a timely argument for us, I will tell you, a timely conversation, seeing the attacks in the family and just how it's, in many ways, it's become so dysfunctional. And frankly, Steve, it's shocking to me that we're even having to have this conversation.
It is shocking. Yeah, especially for, you know, an immigrant like yourself who embraced America, found the American dream, becomes the president of a university. I mean, it's possible for anyone. Doctor, I really appreciate you being here. Education, hard work, it pays off. Study hard, work hard. Doctor, you come back anytime. Thank you.
Steve, thank you so much.
Really appreciate it. Cornerstone University, Grand Rapids, Michigan. There you have it. You can find it online, of course, and we appreciate it if you do. Wolverine Water Systems, Michigan's premier water treatment company. I might as well mention that. He's from Michigan. It's the water treatment company I've used for years. WolverineWaterSystems.com. My good friend Paul Mahaney runs the place. It's been there for more than 75 years now, if I'm keeping track of it right. Michigan-made, so it's American-made products. Delivered by American-made people. Installed by American-made people. Yeah, it's an American company. WolverineWaterSystems.com. WolverineWaterSystems.com. I'll take a break. When I come back, man, we've got a big treat for you. We've got an influencer, Joy Manarino, is going to be here. We'll be right back. All right, more trouble in New Jersey. Good Lord! When things go south, they go real south. Is it Mickey or Mikey? I don't actually know. But there's this member of Congress. I see her name is Mickey Sherrill, right? She's running for governor, and she was up double digits here just a month or so ago. Well, not so much anymore because she keeps running into problems. And her latest problem, two of her, she got involved with this scandal at the U.S. Naval Academy. She was not allowed to walk with her class because of a cheating scandal a few years ago. That came out recently. Well, now we've learned that two of the students in the Naval Academy from New Jersey this year, you have to be, the acceptance rate is single digits, 9%, 8%. Two of the kids out of 11 in the most recent class to be accepted are her kids. Yeah, her kids. Nepotism. Just 9 to the Naval Academy were, I was wrong, it was 9 were accepted. 2 were her kids. At the Naval Academy where the competition is really fierce. One of the hardest schools to get into, Mark Mitchell, my friend over there at Rasmussen, pointed this out on X. Yeah, she's in trouble. She's tied with Citarelli. I think he's going to win this thing. I think we're going to have a Republican governor in New Jersey because of all this nonsense that's going on. We'll see how that plays out. And my next guest could weigh in on that as well, because Joey might have an opinion on this. He has an opinion on pretty much everything. Joey Manarino is going to join me, political strategist, commentator, social media influencer. Invited him on the program, as we do with so many of these folks that are out there getting traction on big stories. We'll have him weigh in on political violence against people who have political beliefs or religious beliefs. We'll weigh in on all the things going on in the United States with Joey. After this, it's the Steve Gruber Show. All right, jumping right back into it now. There's a lot on the plate today, as there is every single day. My next guest hails from Philadelphia. He's proud of that. Joey Manarino is a political strategist, commentator, social media influencer. He's got, 650,000 followers on X, plus everything else that he does out there, and he's not afraid to speak his mind. He believes in this thing we call free speech. God bless America, and we appreciate it. Joey, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Glad to have you here. We were talking in the break. You're from Philly. You say it's a complete mess, but you were born and raised there. Your heart's there. You believe in Philadelphia. If there's only something you could do to fix it, you'd like to do that. But you just say these Democrats, for a century, Philadelphia run by Democrats, right?
100+ years, Democrats have run Philadelphia. The people of Philadelphia, they just keep on voting for Democrats, and I don't see what's going to wake them up if they're not awake by now. But I'll tell you the truth, with President Trump starting to clean up these other cities, Washington, D.C., and now the Guard is being requested in other places, maybe the good people of Philadelphia will wake up and say, why can these other cities turn it around and we can't? However, with our governor, we're not going to get him requesting any guards anytime soon. So
well, my argument, Joey, is this. I don't think we can make America great again, truly, if we don't make our cities great again. And look, we've got this communist that looks like he's going to win in New York City. What a disaster that's going to be. Can you imagine going back to 9/11 and thinking, well, in 20 years or 25 years or whatever, we're going to have a communist mayor that's from Uganda and is Muslim as the mayor of New York City? I mean,
no, it's unbelievable to me. And then you have to understand that the entire rest of the world, when you go to Europe and you talk to people, New York is the embodiment of America to most people outside of America. They think of America, they think of New York City, and you're going to put this Ugandan communist Muslim in charge. It's unbelievable to me. I mean, I guess they completely forgot about 9/11. They said never forget, but now this guy's leading the polls. It's horrifying to me. Maybe with Adams dropping out, Cuomo can consolidate support, but who wants him? I mean, we have to talk about him as the alternative. It's very sad what's going on. It's a sad state of affairs.
It is sad. Now, I did hear a couple of conservative commentators, and I actually think this is worth discussing, Joey. All right, let Zoran the moron come in. Let him do whatever he's going to do and be a case study for why that is such a bad idea for the rest of the country. We'll see what happens. But like you said, Philly and a host of other cities around this country have had nothing but Democrat mayors for decades. The last Republican mayor I know, because it's close to me, Detroit, the last Republican mayor left Detroit in 1962. When he left, Detroit was the wealthiest city in America per capita. Think about that. 1962, Detroit was the wealthiest city in America per capita. Now, yeah, we all know, right? We know what happened in Detroit.
What I don't understand is if these guys who are voting Democrat year after year realize that they are not even asking anything for their votes, maybe they would start to understand that. If every year I'm going to give my vote to the Democrats, every election, I'm not going to be expected to improve anything if I'm the candidate running as the Democrat. Sure, I just show up as a warm body and I'm going to continue to get your votes. What is the Democrat incentive to even try and fix the cities if they know they're just going to get handed the votes? At the very least, you should at least ask something of your elected officials. People aren't even doing that. They just show up, vote for the guy with the D next to their name, and the things continue to go down.
What do they get out of it? I mean, honestly, so let's say you're a pensioner, as they say in Europe, and you live in New York City or you live in Philly or wherever. You're 65, you're 70 years old. The drugs and the gangs are on the corner. The violence is high. You can't even be brave enough to leave your apartment very often. You're basically in a prison cell there in your apartment, your rate adjusted apartment. Who wants to live that way? Why would you vote for Democrats when that is the situation in too many neighborhoods across New York or Philadelphia or Detroit or wherever?
It's just brainwashing. I mean, if you sit and listen to the mainstream media, I was yesterday in a doctor's office and they had The View on, and it's very rare that I'm subjected to that poison, but it was sitting there and I had to hear it. And I'm listening and I'm thinking, wow, if you don't have an alternative source of media and this is all you're hearing, yeah, you would hate Donald Trump and you would think that anybody who does vote for him is completely crazy. So yeah, I see how they can be brainwashed into listening and thinking that these Democrats are actually the only voices of reason. And then they look around and wonder, why can't I walk out of my house? Why is there a stabbing in my apartment building? What's going on? Yeah, well, you keep voting for these people who have no care at all for your safety, and that's what you're going to get.
Let's look at that for a second, Joey. Are you a Nazi?
No, I'm not a Nazi. No.
Are you a fascist? Are you a white supremacist? No. Are you an evil?
No, I'm not.
And neither am I. I'm not a Nazi, I'm a neighbor, I'm not a fascist, I'm a father. I've gone through this with the folks here because it's important to understand these labels dehumanize people, and then you get things like what happened to Charlie Kirk 3 weeks ago. You get murdered in public, and here's where I think we're not too far away from, and this is what concerns me. And that is people walking down the street with a red hat on, are going to be murdered. Ordinary people. Just some guy in a small, just going to be shot because they have red hat on. I saw these bumper stickers. You might have seen the same thing. Make assassination great again. People actually think this is a cute thing to put on their motor vehicle now. It's disgusting.
No, it's absolutely disgusting. And they have managed to dehumanize us to a level that is absolutely terrifying. Not only in America, but it's in Europe too. The politicians do this, and they continue to sit there and tell us that we are the worst people on earth simply for wanting safe cities, wanting lower taxes. I mean, we want what everybody wants. We want safety, we want security, and we want sovereignty. And for those reasons, we are called the worst things on earth. And I don't know how we're going to ever turn that around unless we start holding the people saying these things accountable.
Yeah,
Because
you'd
the
be in
political
prison.
violence is out of control.
They'd
They'd love me in prison.
You would be in prison in the UK because they would pound on your door at 3 a.m. and say, you said these things on social media, Joey, therefore you violated this law and this law. Oh, and by the way, when you get out of prison, you must sign up for this digital ID, which is now required by the government. Good God.
Now, digital ID is going to be a very, very quick path to the social credit score coming into the UK.
Clearly.
I think it was Vietnam. They shut down 86 million people's bank accounts because they wouldn't sign up for digital ID. I mean, this is the route it's all going down. And I hope the people of the UK are able to fight back against that, because even a lot of the liberals are saying, no, I'm not sure about this. But their prime minister is more of a dictator these days. So I don't think
That's interesting about Vietnam. I got a good friend of mine that came from Vietnam about 1980 that I talked to. I'm going to see today, actually. 110 million people in Vietnam. Think about that. And you're saying 86 million of them said, no, we're not going to do this. I mean, that's the majority of your population.
Well, because people understand what a digital ID does. People understand putting all of this stuff on the web. Number one, it's a completely hackable system. So you don't know who's actually going to get access to this information. Forget all the civil liberty concerns. Forget all the ways the government can abuse that. All your information is online, and who knows what kind of bad actors can get to it? Who ever trusted any government to implement something effectively? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense if you have the least bit of a brain.
Which is the perfect place for me to say this. This phone of mine, this iPhone, whatever version it is, 16, I think, it'll sell my information thousands of times a day, most often between midnight and 3 in the morning. Takes my information, scrapes it, sends it off to the world already. I already have digital ID. It's right here, which is why, by the way, folks, you'll soon be hearing me talk about the Up phone, which can't do that, by the way. It won't allow that to happen. Joey, sit tight and follow him on X, if you would, at Joy Manarino US. You can find him there. And we'll continue the conversation with him right after this on the Steve Gruber Show. Don't go anywhere. All right, my friend Joey Manorino, a political strategist commentator from Philly, says, I don't want to live on some farm. That's okay, Joey. I'll do that for you. I'll be the farm guy. You be the city guy. We got balance. We're good. I'm here in the heartland. You're there in the heart of the city, and I think that's good. I mentioned before you went on, the 4th Street Deli is a deli that I love in Philly. I was at it, a couple times a couple years ago. I thought it was a great place, but you said you got lots of places like that.
We have tons of great places in Philly. I mean, Philadelphia, aside from the politics and aside from the safety concerns, is a beautiful city. It's safe from like 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. So it's beautiful. Come visit for 3 hours in the morning and then go home.
And then get out of there. All right. So let's talk about the National Football League. You have a football team in Philadelphia I've heard of called the Eagles.
We do.
And I'm just
winning lately.
I'm just looking at Roger Goodell, and I'm saying, who chooses these halftime performers? Does the NFL hate America? I mean, obviously, here's a guy, Bad Bunny, who raps in Spanish, which I got no issue with that, whatever. But he said he wouldn't perform in the United States ever, canceled his U.S. tour because he was so hateful of ICE officers and law enforcement. And this is the guy the National Football League thinks is the appropriate entertainment for halftime of the biggest, sport event of the year. It's crazy to me.
Yeah, this Bad Bunny guy, I mean, he did a whole residency over in Puerto Rico, and he won't touch the States with his tour. He won't touch mainland America because he said he's worried they'll put ICE officers outside the tour and get the people coming in and going out. I don't understand it. I mean, he's very popular over in Latin America, but I don't know. I didn't ever know that the Latino community was huge into the Super Bowl. It's just, I feel like the halftime shows lately are more about bringing in new people to watch football than actually catering to the fans that are currently there.
And maybe that's the plan. I had somebody else say the same thing yesterday. This is a plan to have him attract a crowd that you wouldn't normally get, bring him in. Does he wear a dress? I don't have any idea.
We'll find out.
He does that a lot, apparently. So what about this government shutdown coming today? What do you think about these 800 generals and admirals and flag officers in D.C.? There's a conversation being had right now, apparently, of bringing American power back from Europe and Asia and concentrating on basically a new Monroe Doctrine. Protect America, put in the Golden Dome. You stay on your side of the ocean, we'll stay here. It's an idea that I've liked in the past. What are your thoughts on it?
I'm not opposed to that at all, but I'm hearing a lot of that has to do with Venezuela as well. They want to do something in Venezuela, and that's why a lot of people are coming in. Now, look, I'm usually very anti-intervention, but if we're able to clean up Latin America, we're going to have a lot less immigration as far as the illegal immigration coming into the country. And I think the idea of fixing Venezuela a little bit, empowering the people over there to take their country back, I'm fine with that. Because if we can sort Latin America out, look, 4 years from now, we don't know who's going to be the president. They could open that border wide open all over again if we get the wrong person in. So if they're a little happier back at home, maybe we won't have a flood of 12 million once again.
I think there's some truth to that. And look, it's no secret that China and its Belt and Road Initiative have infiltrated Central America. I mean, I was just in Costa Rica a few weeks ago. Look, there's a lot of influence there. They want to build a fighter jet factory to the Chinese in Argentina. Their influence in Venezuela is significant. Look, we got to stamp that out somewhere because this is our hemisphere. We've always defended our hemisphere, so I think it's the only appropriate thing to do as far as, I think you're right, strengthening Latin and South America to our side so we can protect our hemisphere, right?
China's moving in quick over there. I mean, if you look at the Panama Canal, you can see Chinese influence. I remember coming into Panama, you get out of the airport, there's like 4 or 5 billboards in Chinese. The influence there is crazy. So I think rather than us always worried about the Middle East, always focusing on all those wars, why don't we think a little bit about what's going on in Latin America? Because they're directly coming over into the United States. And honestly, if you look at the expat population of Americans over in Latin America, they'd feel a heck of a lot safer too if there weren't always cartel wars going on and things going back and forth over there. I think it's overall a decent thing if that's what they're looking at. We don't know for sure, but I'd rather they look at that than a lot of the things that we've been looking at over the past 20 years.
Well, look, when Trump first came into office, he said, make Canada the 51st state. Let's get Greenland under our influence. Let's take over the Panama Canal, which we never should have given up. We built the thing, for God's sake, with Teddy Roosevelt. But look, they all attacked him, they being the folks on the left. But if Donald Trump came out today and said, do not smoke cigarettes, they're bad for you, there'll be leftists all over social media doing filterless Camels by the end of the day, smoking as many as they
It's
could, 2 packs a day.
incredible.
It's a fact.
Did you see the videos? Did you see the TikTok videos of the ladies who started taking tons of Tylenol when
Yeah.
he said the
And they're
Tylenol might
pregnant.
not be great? They're pregnant and they're like, we're taking Tylenol. You're killing your unborn children to own the president? I mean, this is a little bit crazy.
Yeah, well, Tylenol put out those tweets back in 2017 saying this is not safe for pregnant women to take. And so don't take it if you're pregnant. Now, I get it. Fever is bad for children, but good Lord, it wouldn't matter what Donald Trump would say. Like I said, if he said, don't smoke, it's bad, they'd be lighting up on social media
Yeah, they sure would be.
by this afternoon, right?
Yeah, thank God he doesn't say that oxygen is a good thing because you'd literally have people putting plastic bags over their head. It's just crazy.
There might be something to that. Joey, where can they find you?
You can go to Joey Manarino US over on Twitter or on Instagram. They haven't banned me yet over there, and that's where I hang out most of the time.
Good man. Nice to see you here today, Joey. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me, Steve. Thank you.
Greatly appreciate it. Philly proud. There he is. Joey Manarino. At Joey Manarino US. You can find him on X and all the other places. So you can also tell me what you think. We're trying to get some of these more well-known influencers in here to just kind of share their thoughts. Well, corrupt elites got rich off crypto, hardworking American patriots left behind, but not anymore. Block Trust IRA, changing all of that, bringing the crypto opportunity to people like you. Crypto is fueling President Trump's economic miracle. Now is your chance to join the movement. The Animus AI trading platform runs 24/7, not just when the markets are open, it runs 24/7, helps you build serious wealth, just like the elites did. It's been named the #1 crypto tech platform by Bitcoin Magazine. Block Trust IRA offers up to $200 million in protection. Their clients are seeing returns, sometimes over 250%. You can find out more right now at SteveGruberCrypto.com and get $2,500 in bonus crypto. That's right, you could get $2,500 in bonus crypto right now. SteveGruberCrypto.com. I'll be right back. All righty, let's check it on sports now with our good friend Brock Palmbush.
With a look at sports, I'm Brock Palmbush. There were 2 Monday Night Football games last night. First, the Miami Dolphins got their first win of the year by beating the New York Jets in South Florida 27-21. Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa threw for 2 touchdowns. The Dolphins are 1-3. The Jets fall to 0-4. And the Denver Broncos moved to 2-2 on the season with a 28-3 victory over the Cincinnati Bengals in Denver. Broncos quarterback Bo Nix threw for 326 yards and 2 touchdowns. With the loss, the Bengals fall to 2-2. It was Black Monday for Major League Baseball managers, and 2 were let go yesterday, right after the regular season ended on Sunday. The Minnesota Twins fired manager Rocco Baldelli after 7 years at the helm in Minnesota. The San Francisco Giants fired manager Bob Melvin after just 2 seasons on the job. And the Texas Rangers and manager Bruce Bochy mutually agreed to part ways after just 3 seasons. That's a look at sports. Back to you, Steve.
All right, Brock, thank you for that. And the left laughing about Bad Bunny, by the way, as the choice. But I've heard a couple of you say this is just a marketing ploy to reach out to try to get, other people to watch the program that would not normally watch the program. But was that true when Aerosmith was on there or other folks? I think Kid Rock would have been a far better choice. That's just me. This part of the program brought to you by my good friends at PureVet. PureVet is a chance for veterans to get to the front of the line and get their own franchise at PureClean. A remarkable company, PureVet.com, to find out more. They'll put you right at the front of the line. That's why they respect your service so much. They want to step up and take care of you right there. By the way, the best dog food you're ever going to own also comes from GreatLakesPetFood.com. We've been using this dog food for years at our house. The hair farmers, as we call them, love it. Pure turkey, pork, chicken, American-made dog food, not Chinese junk, coming right to your doorstep. That's right, GreatLakesPetFood.com. You're going to love this because your dogs love it. If your dog's happy, you're happy. We'll take a break and be back. 1 more hour to go here on the Steve Gruber Show. Don't miss any of it. always something to make you look around and say, hey, you know what? I live in a pretty great country. President Trump is calm, on point, on his game. And unlike the last guy, he is competent and coherent. Come on, man. We're not bending the knee anymore. We're here to take a stand for God and country.
This is the Steve Gruber Show.
Yeah, it sure is. Glad to have you here fighting for you from the foxhole of freedom, fighting for this country every single day. That's what we do. We fight for this country every single day, and I'm glad you're part of it. Here are three big things you need to know this hour as we roll into it. Number one, in Ingham County, where Lansing is, the capital, the DEI position has been renamed. They didn't change anything. They just changed the name. Meanwhile, number two, Matt Walsh says Dearborn has become a third world enclave. Matt Walsh, let's get him on the program, shall we? And number three, Don Lemon. This guy hates America. He does. Excuse me. Don Lemon hates America. Strikes again. Here he is, always keeping it classy. We're going to start with bite number 9. We're going to go a little out of order, Anthony. Bite number 9, Don Lemon always keeping it classy. It's what he does. Listen.
Wake up, white men. What the wrong with you? But you're too dumb to even realize that because you're lazy and sitting in front of a computer or a phone and you're just eating it up. Oh, my God. Look at what they're doing. All of a sudden, my heritage is going to be over. That I want to live in a country where white kids go to white schools and white people marry each other. What is wrong with that? I want to grow up in the country that my great-grandfather grew up in. That country doesn't exist anymore, asshole.
Classy. Don Lemon chiding people for sitting in front of their computer while he sits in front of his computer, tapping away complete and utter nonsense. And normally I wouldn't give Don Lemon this kind of publicity, except he is so lame and so awful. Yeah, just so awful that it has to be brought to somebody's attention. All right. But it gets worse as he continues his tirade attacking white men. I guess that's what gay black men do that are married to white men. Let me remind you, Don Lemon is gay and married to a white man. I wonder what his white, husband thinks about this, about being, the most evil thing on the planet. Here's more from Don Lemon.
Men who look like you, men who vote like you, and men who sound like you. White men, something is broken.
Yeah, it's you.
Something is cracked.
Yep, it's
deep
you.
Inside, when so many of you believe the answer to fear, to loss, to change is violence.
No, your answer is to call people Nazis and fascists.
Are you listening to me? I hope I'm saying it loud enough for the people in the back.
No, there is nobody in the back, Don, because nobody cares what you think. I only play it as an illustration of how broken these people really are, right? These people are broken.
Did he say people who look like me are the?
Yeah, people like you, Anthony. You're the problem. You're broken.
What?
Because everything that if you don't get to go to white schools with white people and white, was your school basically very diverse? Your high school?
Yeah.
Yeah.
East Lansing is one of the.
Exactly. East Lansing. Did you get along with people of all colors and races and creeds? Because I did in high school. How about you?
Yeah.
So you're not broken. See.
For other reasons, but.
Right. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Not that. All right. John Brennan. All right, let's just skip on past that. Another insane person, John Brennan, who openly admitted to voting for communists for president back in 1976 and afterwards, knows he's going to be indicted by the grand jury. Here's what he has to say. Listen.
I'm not going to be intimidated by the likes of Donald Trump. I have always tried to speak my mind and do what I thought was right. And clearly there is a corruption and a perversion of the justice system right now within the executive branch. And so yeah, I don't know what may be coming my way, but I'm not going to do things that are inconsistent with my ethics and my values and what it is that I believe is important. I think more people have to speak out when they see injustice. when they see a government that is abusing its authority and its power, I think more and more people have to speak out, and I'm waiting for those Republicans in Congress to come to their senses, because the damage that's being done to this country and the dangerous times that we're in, I think too many Americans do not appreciate the extent of that. And certainly, I think we're in for even choppier waters ahead.
Yeah, and choppier waters. But hey, I've got good news. I do. I've got good news, because John Brennan has done us all a favor and investigated himself. He's done a complete investigation of himself and said there's, well, nothing else you need to know. He really doesn't see a case here. He's investigating. There's really not a case here. John Brennan has done it. Well, here he is. Listen.
You know, I don't see any case against me. I have looked back on all of my actions and decisions, and with John Durham, the special counsel, and others that have looked at what we did, it was certainly consistent with our legal authorities and with the law. So I don't know what, you know, they're referring to there. Individuals who used to work in the government, even if their security clearances were revoked, they could be subpoenaed. They could be, you know, called to provide testimony in support of whatever allegations they have. I don't see a case there.
Well, we really appreciate you investigating yourself and letting us know there's no case there, John. I mean, that settles it for me. How about you? If John Brennan says, I've looked, there's just no case here, well, then, I mean, what motivation would he have to lie, of course, except for the fact that he's going to prison for a variety of felonies, potentially. And again, let's explain that Donald Trump didn't do this. No, he did not. It is a grand jury. There's about 25 people on a grand jury. They vote behind closed doors and come up with their decisions. That's the way it works. Meanwhile, Matt Walsh says Dearborn has become a third world enclave, known for recent movies What is a Woman? Am I a Racist? Responding to the New York Post article about a conflict between the city of Dearborn Mayor Abdullah Hammoud and a Christian minister, Ted Barham, where Hammoud told the Christian he was not welcome here and would launch a parade when Barham left town. And Hammoud refused to apologize, of course. The conservative commentator critical of Barham for refusing to file a lawsuit against the city of Dearborn, whose response was just to tell the mayor, God bless you. Yeah, it needs a lot more attention. They're doing this call to prayer at 5 in the morning in violation of code ordinances about noise. Yeah, I'd be all over that. Have you ever wondered about your metabolism, why it's on, why it's off, why you're too heavy and you don't want to take all these heavy drugs? I get it. My Pure Health uses breakthrough science and technology to uncover why, your unique why, as to why things are happening, then fix it. No shots, no endless exercise, real food, a customized protocol, weekly coaching. Men lose 35 to 50 pounds in 40 days. Women, 25 to 30 pounds. The best part, they don't just help you lose it, they help keep you thin going forward because they tell you how to keep it off. Book your free consultation today. Look, you want to lose weight, but you don't want the pharmaceuticals. I get it. You don't want to be on the treadmill 24 hours a day. I get it. Figure this out. Go to GruberHealth.com. I began with these folks in 2018. They're the real deal. GruberHealth.com. GruberHealth.com. You'll have a slimmer you. Struggling to lose weight? All right, back to it now. The president, if you missed it, opening up a bunch of land, and I mean a lot of land, 13 million acres, to pursue coal in the United States. Pursue coal. You thought coal was dead. It's not. Jason Isaac is the CEO of the American Energy Institute, former Texas rep. Jason, welcome back to the program.
It's great to be on, Steve. Thanks for having me.
Good to have you here. All right, 13 million acres. Now, my question when I first saw this, and I saw the president do this, I'm like, do we have enough coal-fired power plants left to make a difference? I mean, in a lot of places, they just bulldozed them. It was silly. I mean, you look at the price of electricity in the northeastern United States now, it's gone up dramatically because they keep bulldozing power plants and saying, well, we'll put in windmills and solar panels and little propellers on our hats, and it'll be great, right?
Yeah, you're right. Electricity in the last 4 or 5 years is up about 30% across the United States. We're following the same path that Germany took and the EU has taken, which is really about deindustrialization. And this is a win-win for China. I mean, it's where China wins twice in their economic game that they're playing with their climate alarmism, fear that they've been peddling for decades, touting it even more at the UN last week. But there are over 40 coal-fired power plants that were slated for either retirement or early retirement that are now scheduled to stay online.
How many?
Unlike China, it's over 40 coal-fired power plants in this country that were either scheduled for retirement or early retirement that are now going to stay online. Coal use has gone up 9% over the last year in the United States. And Steve, just last week, I was in some coal-fired power plants and some coal mines in eastern Wyoming, beautiful country. Same trip 3 years ago, the workers had their heads hung low. They thought they were going to be losing their jobs. This has got to be a shot in the arm for these communities, that their jobs are going to continue to be there for years to come because we have the coal. Now we just need the coal-fired power plants to come back online.
Yeah, exactly right. So here's the thing. A lot of them were destroyed. Like in Ontario, Canada, I believe they bulldozed every single one of them. And so Ontario, I'm surrounded by Ontario here in Michigan. They got rid of all of them, I think. The last coal unit shut down December 31 of 2014, right? And since that time, the price of electricity in Ontario has gone up 3-4 times. Not 30%, 3 or 4 times. It's just fully. Look what Germany did. Look what France did. Look at these people, and now they're getting the power from other people because they're idiots. I mean, they can do math, can't they? This is how much we need. Oh, and by the way, in the AI revolution, we need a lot more power than we needed before, don't we?
Yeah, and that's something that the Obama administration and the Biden administrations didn't understand. They started this war on coal, which is really a war on the American people. It's a war on affordable and reliable electricity to appease European bureaucrats and to these globalist financial institutions that think they know what's best for other people, that we're really driving this energy transition narrative, which is really a transition away from affordable and reliable electricity and completely empowering China. It's transferring our money by the trillions to the Chinese Communist Party. They're laughing all the way to the bank. They're expanding their coal-fired generation fleet. They've begun this decades ago, building 1 to 2 new coal-fired power plants every single week. And it's to fuel their industrial revolution with cheap electricity. That's why for the first time in the history of China, just in the last year, they've begun exporting fuels, diesel fuel, jet fuel, home heating oil. They've never been an exporter of energy, but they're buying cheap Russian and Iranian oil to power that. They've expanded their refining capacity powered by cheap coal electricity. And it's just appalling. And as President Trump said at the UN years ago, Germany will become completely dependent on Russia for its energy. They were laughing at the time, but it's true. Last year, the EU imported more LNG from Russia than ever before. And they're sitting on a plethora of this natural gas and coal and oil, but they have demonized it. And so now they're depending on their neighbors, and it's left them incredibly weak. We don't need to see the same thing happen here in the United States. I'm grateful for the Trump administration embracing nuclear, coal, and natural gas. We need more of those affordable and reliable sources of electric generation.
Yeah, exactly right. And let me ask you this. Where do Chinese solar panels and German windmills play into all this?
Yeah, well, they're made with coal in China. And as I've joked multiple times before congressional testimony, I said of all the technology the Chinese steal from us, it would be nice if they would utilize our pollution control technology. We're world leaders in environmental protection in this country, having world record clean air. We're number one when it comes to access to clean and safe drinking water in this country. Unfortunately, that's getting more expensive. And President Trump is trying to reverse that by bringing down the cost of energy and electricity.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see how this plays out. It's really important that we tap into this energy and make sure that we protect our. But look, we have the greatest resources in the world when it comes to natural resources: coal, oil, timber, water, farmland. It doesn't matter what it is. Natural resources, metals, precious metals. We've got it all in America, and we've got to stop being told we can't use what we have beneath our feet. Last word to you.
I say we produce those fuels more responsibly than anywhere else on the planet. Every source of energy production, whether it's food or fuel, has some sort of environmental impact. And don't we want to choose the ones that have the least environmental impact? That's coal, natural gas, that's nuclear, and that's farming with innovative and efficient products like we use here, not electric farm tractors. So we need to continue with this American energy dominance agenda. Again, we produce it more responsibly than anywhere else on the planet.
Yeah, there you go. I greatly appreciate you being here because we're the cleanest, greenest industrialized nation on earth, and we should be proud of that, not ashamed of it. Jason Isaac, thank you for being here.
Amen. Thanks for having me on.
Really appreciate it. There you have it. Power, power, power. We need lots of it, all right? And we'll take a break. I'll be back. It is the Steve Gruber Show. I got to ask Ivy here. I'm looking into. I got to ask her a quick question here about what is our monthly electric bill here, because I'm trying to sort some things out here, and see that our bill might just be wildly too high, right? I mentioned this earlier in the day, and it's good news. The new housing sales soared 20% unexpectedly. New housing sales soar. New home sales surge in August. Strongest pace in more than 3 years. Aggressive price cuts, incentives by builders, and of course better mortgage rates really drove sales. Sales of new single-family homes increased to a seasonally adjusted annual rate of 800,000 units. That's 20.5%, so it's 21%. The Commerce Department and Housing and Urban Development Department said Wednesday, well above the 653,000 rate economists had forecast, and marked the fastest selling pace since early 2022, when interest rates were 3%, by the way, 3 to 4%, maybe more like 4% at that time. So that's pretty expected, pretty unexpected. It suggests home builders' strategy of offering steep discounts and sales incentives working to revive demand in a market where many potential buyers have been sidelined by the concerns of affordability. We're fighting back, folks, one house at a time, one block at a time. Look, there's going to be some pain. There's going to be some pain along the way, and we're going to get to it. Let's see here. Don't forget to take Exodus Strong today and feel good. Feel revived. Exodus Strong. It's a blend of biblical ingredients, frankincense, myrrh, and more with modern science like molecular hydrogen. It's designed to soothe joint and muscle discomfort. It works for me. Look, I take it every day. Boost your energy, reduce inflammation. Reducing inflammation is the key. We've got a new vitamin company. That's their focus. Exodus, it's their focus. Reducing inflammation. That's number one. All right? We're going to take a break. It is the Steve Gruber Show. All right, State Representative Mike Harris of Waterford. It's in Oakland County. Joining me now, Stop the Bleed legislation. All right, got my attention. Got Sarah's attention. She said, hey, let's have him on to talk about this. All right, fair enough. Mike, how are you? Good to have you on the program.
Great. Always good to be here, Steve.
Always glad to have you back. All right, Stop the Bleed legislation. Apparently, in summary, it updates Good Samaritan laws to cover folks who provide blood control techniques. I mean, if you stop to help somebody and they don't make it, or they think that you did something, they can sue you, right? I mean, that's the world we live in.
Well, $185 and writing out a lawsuit on the back of a cocktail napkin, I think will, get you sued anymore. It's we need to offer some protections to people that want to help.
So you want to do more than that. You want to take it right to schools. And look, I had a complete first aid course in 7th grade, things that I retain today about direct pressure and bleeding for sure. I've had some first aid courses since then, but that really, I think that should be the standard. Why wouldn't all children be taught about first aid?
It seems that much of a common sense approach, but it's one of those things that it's taken years for us to get to this point where we truly see the need, and we can argue the need for our school age kids to learn some extra techniques, right? We see it with CPR and AED and the success that has caused. We see people that are able to be the initial responders to an incident until professional help arrives. So we want to give our kids more and more tools to actually be able to, take initiative at home, help their parents, help a sibling, help a friend, or, God forbid, we see a tragic incident that happens at a school, right? And they will know how to provide that initial first aid care.
Exactly right. So you would think this is you would think it's an easy thing to get through. You would think this would be an easy thing to pass on through, Mike, but who knows in this world if it will or not.
Well, we've been working on this, Steve, for 2 years now. And, this is something that it's so common sense. I don't want to let it go. So when it didn't make it through lame duck last time, we wanted to bring it back up. And, we've worked with school groups. We've worked with the Sheriff's Association. We've worked with the Hospital Association and some other groups that have all been huge supporters of this. And we made some tweaks based upon, feedback we got from the school professionals. And so that's where we stand with the current bill. Overwhelming support here in the House. I anticipate the same thing in the Senate. So I'm hoping to get this thing moving.
All right. Well, I hope that you're right about that. Meanwhile, let me ask you about the budget that's been put forth, $81 billion, right? Got to ask you. Good or bad? Do you like where we are? Is it at least an improvement? I think that most of the Republicans think it's better than where we were, but where are we on this?
Yeah, as in negotiations, there's nothing that's perfect here. The Republican House, and I think we've talked about this before, Steve, we presented a plan. We presented a plan to reel back the waste, fraud, and abuse, to cut the budget significantly, and do everything, including funding roads, without raising anybody's taxes. We knew that we were a long ways off from where the Senate wanted to be, and the Senate and the governor have really pushed hard that they are not going to move this budget without some type of new revenue source. So Speaker Hall has done his best to negotiate the best case scenario for us and actually getting this budget done and not shutting the government down, because at the end of the day, that hurts people, right? So I think we've still gotten to a point where we're able to rein in the budget, where we're able to get some very significant cuts based on these negotiations. And, we have, I don't want to call it neutral revenue, because I think we've actually surpassed that. I think we're actually in the negative compared to where the Senate wanted to be. But I think we're in a good spot, and it's just a matter of these final details. We started session at 10 a.m. this morning, and I know the Senate was in yesterday working on this, and I plan on probably being here all night. So we're going to work on this until we get it done, Steve.
So it's going to happen then, because it's not official yet, right? I mean, the framework's there, right?
Correct. The framework's there, that was the first huge hurdle to accomplish, basically setting up guardrails on how we're going to handle the budget. And then today we're hoping to see a final budget that we can vote on. But 1,000 pages takes a long time to write out. So it's a matter of
now who's going to read it?
Thank God. Yeah, right. It's well, Speaker Hall has been good with us and making sure that we're kept in the loop and we're reading things as we go. So as changes happen, hopefully we have smaller amounts to read versus 1,000 pages.
Yeah. So till midnight. I mean, that's the deadline, isn't it?
That is the deadline, and I think we'll be here until we get it done.
So you're not anticipating then a government shutdown?
If it happens, I think it'll be short-lived.
Right.
I think it's a matter of how long it takes us today, and I think if we don't have something done by midnight, I think we'll be close.
You want to tell me anything in there you like and anything you don't like? We got time for one of each.
Yeah, so I do not like that we've had to raise taxes on marijuana. I'm sure you've seen that across the state. That's a pretty big headline right now. And, but the other thing is I came here promising that we would rein in this budget, and that's something that the speaker has really been passionate about. And, instead of getting to an $85 billion budget, I think we're probably in a spot to reel it back a couple of $1 billion compared to last year. So those are my two big issues.
We still sit $30 billion higher than Pennsylvania. What's the tax increase on marijuana? What's your objection to that? I mean, if you're going to raise concerns, maybe that's where it should be.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's the best worst case scenario, right? It's
how big is the increase?
We're 24%, 24% on the wholesale marijuana. So it's I don't like raising taxes, period, when I know we had a plan to do this without. But if we're gonna attach it somewhere, Michigan was one of the lowest in the country. So.
Well, I'm confused because all the stoners I saw online before this all happened, they told us, if we put taxes on marijuana, everything would be free. The whole world would be
Right.
free. I
Yeah.
mean, I saw posts like that. If the marijuana taxes were the utopia, and everything would be free, and we'd have endless amounts of Taco Bell and free everything else.
Yeah. Well, you and I both know how that goes.
Yeah. You mean they were full of... Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. Mike Harris, always appreciate talking to you, my friend. Thank you very much.
Yeah, appreciate you, Steve. Thank you.
All right. See you soon. There he has it.
All right.
24% increase on weed. Boy, are the people out there going to be so angry, they won't even get the munchies.
I think they were trying to raise, it was to get like 420 million in taxes.
Mm-hmm.
420.
420. Wow. That's what you're going with?
That's what it said.
That's what you're going with. Mm-hmm. Anthony apparently into too much...
not me, Steve. Not me.
Coffee, I was going to say.
Oh, that, yes.
I know, you're a non-participant. I'm a non-participant. Anyhow, maybe that's why I find it kind of humorous. Anyhow, we'll take a break and be back with somebody I find wonderful. It's Ivy Watch time. All right, time to take a little bit of a vote here. You see, yesterday we did something different. Anthony, being Anthony, said, make Ivy, bring him in. And which we did. And you know you were here. But today I'm bringing Ivy in. Ivy, good morning.
Good morning.
So we'll just take a little vote. Do you guys like it when I open the segment or when Ivy opens the segment, you see?
Oh, my gosh.
Have a little fun. So merch, a lot of people talking about I made the announcement. I don't know if you heard that or not, but we do have merch all in development. Should be ready pretty soon, actually. Not too far away. Maybe a few more days. We're not quite sure how this thing takes, but it's going to get us there. I'm kind of excited about it. We're going to have, let's see, sports shirts like the wicking type. We're going to have hoodies. We're going to have hats. We're going to have all sorts of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you fired up?
Totally fired up, babe.
Yeah, we're going to have Ivy Watch written right on the back of one of them. Ivy Watch.
Oh, and a lot of your sayings, fight the good fight. And
well, how about, here's what somebody said yesterday. Get
only
a watch.
You can save America.
Get a watch and put your face on it. Then you have an Ivy Watch.
Yeah, that's what I suggested.
See, there it is.
Clever.
There's Brock chiming in the Ivy Watch.
I'm wondering if we should put like a caricature of your face on the back or on the front, or maybe that needs to be like hidden somewhere on the shirt.
Oh yeah, but see on the watch I could just be on the hands, with my face on the hands as it comes around.
Oh my gosh.
Oh Lord. Anyhow, what do you got? You must have something more serious than that for me.
I did laugh at your Brennan bite earlier, by the way. I listened to that yesterday. I was just like,
well, you're the one that showed it to me. You said,
I
look
was
at
like,
this.
oh, how conclusive of.
He's investigated himself. He sees no
No.
crime. Thank you, John.
Well, thanks. I'm sure lots of criminals would completely agree with you.
Absolutely true. Yeah.
They've considered their crimes and realized that, in fact, there are no crimes.
I see no case here.
Of course, soft on crime judges and prosecutors around the country also think that there's not a whole lot of crime going on. So you see what that kind of situation has
That
cost
mentality,
us. That
yeah.
mentality has cost us in America. I actually watched this guy. He was on a hearing with the House, and kind of a similar situation to the young lady on the train. His daughter was brutally murdered.
Yeah.
And drug out of bed, told to be put on her, get on your knees. The criminal shot her in the head and then took all her credit cards. And that's what he did.
That's it.
That was it. Wanted to just steal her stuff. And then he went on a spending spree afterwards, but drug her to bed, murdered her.
And where was this?
I believe it was California. And then, but it was another situation where the guy had been arrested like
Bunches of
50 times,
Yeah.
something ridiculous. And he had like 20 felonies or something crazy, but he wasn't in prison. Anyhow, I actually saw the story, a composting operation in Maine was just shut down because they had heavily contaminated soil.
Contaminated with what?
PFAS.
Oh, forever chemicals.
The forever chemicals.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, okay, so depending on where this stuff was shipped, maybe all over the United States, you get your composting soil, you put it in your vegetables, and then, PFAS actually is very easy to go through all sorts of barriers. So I wonder, how much of impact that had on your food.
Well, yeah, okay, so composting is like the vegetables, the stuff you take out of your kitchen, the
Right, but then
organic stuff.
you use that compost in
Sure,
gardens.
sure, but my question is, how did it get so contaminated? Well, what's the root cause of the PFAS, the PFOAs, those forever chemicals? I mean, what? That makes me think that the food originally was contaminated potentially. Good Lord.
No, it was because the local water was contaminated.
Oh, well, so you're watering your plants with contaminated water.
Yeah.
How lovely.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I don't know if many of you know about PFAS or PFOAs, but it was what essentially Scotchgard and your nonstick pans.
Oh, it's
used to
everywhere.
be
It's in microwave popcorn bags. It's in your pizza box. It's in waterproofing your carpet or your materials. It's everywhere. And you know where else it is? It's in places like polar bears, which have never been around, pizza boxes that I'm aware of, and yet somehow these chemicals have been spread around globally, and now it's in this composting, which means it just gets spread all over, and I asked the question, and someday I might have an answer. Is this one of the things related to autism? Because they're saying there are all these things that trigger. Well, we've seen this massive increase in these PFOAs and PFAS, PFAS, and all these chemicals.
We know that it is directly causing cancer in some instances.
That's right.
You know, and what was that movie called that was released?
Dark Water.
Dark Water.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was, what is it, the 3M plant?
3M and DuPont were both involved
Yeah.
with the creation, and I don't remember which one perpetuated it, but
And so
one of them was shutting
especially,
it down, and the other company bought it out and said, we want to keep making this chemical.
Yeah, they just changed the name.
Yeah.
And changed a little bit of its components.
The
but
formula just slightly.
Yeah, a lot of people, women especially, who had worked there and ended up having babies that were malformed or things like that.
Well, there are a lot of problems.
Depending on how closely worked with the product.
Well, here at Wordsmith Air Force Base in Michigan, we know that women as young as 18 were getting complete hysterectomies who had consumed the water. It was the water there that was contaminated, right?
Yeah, it's just like everywhere you look, there's just some sort of like contamination or concern about what you're eating and what you're drinking.
So shouldn't that be our concern and our focus as opposed to climate change? Shouldn't it be microplastics, PFAS? Shouldn't that be the focus?
I agree with that. You know, we in America, we do a really great job at cleaning up our mess.
Generally,
we deal with garbage really well. We deal with pollution really well, and so let's start thinking about that. You know, of course, we all know, and we're preaching to the choir here, but that green climate agenda is for power and control to benefit countries like China and Russia, and you know, let's take away the power of the United States by a lot of that, reducing the amount of energy they can produce. But yeah, I think let's focus on cleanliness and contamination instead of.
Yeah, environmental pollution is a much bigger concern to me than anything else. That's a fact. All right, Ivy. Always great to see you. Love you.
Love you too, Steve.
There you have it. I agree with her. Environmental contamination. What's in our environment? Microplastics, like we're in your toothpaste and your washing machine fluid, all of that. Final thoughts after this. Well, we've got a lot going on today, that's for sure. Here in my state of Michigan, they're battling to try to prevent a statewide government shutdown. At the federal level, pretty sure we're going to have a government shutdown, and I'm not really sure it means much. I'm not terribly concerned about it. Maybe you are. I'm not. And 100,000 people could quit their jobs today in the federal government. Well, that's convenient, I would say. Thank you for making it easier on everybody. Thank you. Because, look, it means those people don't have to be removed from their job if they just quit. And look, there are too many government employees. That's true of almost all governments across the spectrum here. Not all of them, most of them, I would say. We have too many people in government. Too many people on government payroll. Get in the private sector. Go work in the private sector. The thing about jobs in the government sector is they often pay more than an identical position in the private sector. So we pay more to government employees. Let's say you've got a secretary position, a secretarial position, an administrative assistant position. It'll pay 20 or 25% more in government, sometimes more than that, than it does out in the rest of the world. And how can you justify that? You're charging the person, you're charging the secretary that's working at the local lumber yard, say, charging that person taxes to pay a government secretary that's working in Health and Human Services more by 25 or 30 or 35%. I'm sorry, that's hard to justify, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Just something to think about. All right, fight the good fight, keep the faith. God bless America. Remember, only you can save America, and work harder, be better. All right?